Today on the LA Food Podcast, I'm your host, Lucas Servodio, fresh off getting sideswiped in a Trader Joe's parking lot. I guess this is karma for continuing to shop at a grocery store we've all collectively agreed is evil? Might just be what I deserve, dear listener. Speaking of deserved, Kuya Lord's Chef Lord Maynard Llera took home the James Beard Award this week for Best Chef California, and we'd like to extend him and his whole staff a heartfelt LA Food Pod congratulations. Today's episode is all about awards, dear listener. I'm joined by Father Sal to discuss LA's showing at the Beards, as well as some of the most interesting takeaways from the world's 50 best, which was also announced since our last episode. We talk about what these awards tell us about the state of dining in 2024, whether we'd rather win a Beard Award or be named on the world's 50 best and why, and which award recipients caught our eye and may warrant an LA Food Pod excursion in the future. We also discuss a fascinating Karen Palmer article on why Little Tokyo as we know it may be endangered, and finally, the earth-shaking news that competitive eating GOAT Joey Chestnut has been banned from the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. Stick around to the end if you want to hear a true story about the time that I, your friendly neighborhood podcast host, won an eating competition of my own. It's a tale that frankly is not for the faint of heart. Without further ado, let's chow down. Dear listener, I made a deal with my wife. She let me start a food podcast and eat ungodly amounts of noodles, pizza, sandwiches, and more under two conditions. One is that I never utter her name. The other is that I find ways to be healthy outside of my work in food. Being the fantastic partner I am, I found a few ways to up my health game. I exercise almost every day, I try to sneak in salads for lunch whenever I can, and I only ever snack on healthy foods. The macadamia nut has become an essential part of my daily routine with the best omega 6-3 ratios in the nut game, 8 times better than pistachios and 20 times better than cashews. At houseofmacadamias.com, they've got a bunch of different macadamia products that you can enjoy, like savory and sweet snack packs and chocolate-covered snack bars. One of the problems with macadamias I've found is that they can be expensive, but I'm solving this for you, dear listener, because as of today, all you've got to do is head to houseofmacadamias.com and use code LAFOOD to get a 10% discount on a healthy snack that also happens to be delicious. So what are you waiting for? Head to www.houseofmacadamias.com/discount/LAFood and go nuts. Welcoming back to the LA Food Podcast, a man who once drank all-purpose flour mixed with water thinking it was a protein shake. It's Father Sal. Father Sal, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. A callback to our infamous month of pranks when we were living together, during which that was the only prank that we pulled. I still have regrets. During my last year we were living together, we decided to theme each month around a different activity we would do together. We were basically a married couple, man.
It was true. That was true, like bucket list you're about to die shit, you know?
Right. And April was prank month, and I got a Trump bumper sticker for your little red Fiat, and I so wanted to put it on, and I was too nice because I Googled it, and apparently bumper stickers are really hard to take off, and I pussied out and was like, I won't be this mean, and then you replaced my protein with flour. Whatever. We did not do a good pranking job.
No, we didn't. It is funny that the reason we didn't do a good pranking job is because all of our other ideas were just far too dangerous.
Right. Yeah. I literally had visions of you driving to work and getting fired or something with that bumper sticker, or getting run down in traffic.
And this was 2015 when the threat didn't even seem that real yet.
Yeah, it was a bit, but of course he was still a hateful and bad guy and very unpopular in Los Angeles. And I was like, his tires are gonna get slashed, his car is gonna get keyed. I can't do this to him, and I really wish I had in retrospect.
One of the most thoughtful things you've ever done for me, actually, and you've done some thoughtful things. How you doing, buddy? How's Seattle? Any good eats recently?
I tried Plenty of Clouds, which is a Sichuanese food truck. I went to the food truck they had at a brewery. got some pork dumplings and cucumber. Excellent. Like Din Tai Fung, but next level. It was great.
Wow. Din Tai Fung, next level. That's like
Mm-hmm.
next leveling a Michelin star favorite. Well, the topic today is going to be particularly relevant to your good eats because we're going to be talking about awards, and there are quite a few restaurants in your neck of the woods that did pretty well, I think.
Yeah, at least we were nominated. I was rooting for some Seattle James Beard nominees. I don't think we won anything officially, but it was a good showing. And although like Pacific Northwest, Portland got some shine. Yeah, we kind of shone.
Well, speaking of places that did not shine that much, I'll say, Los Angeles had kind of a quiet James Beard Awards. Obviously, the James Beard Awards happened this past Monday over in Chicago, Illinois. The Media Awards happened the previous Saturday, and Los Angeles really did not shine in those awards. Los Angeles journalists were nominated across various categories. Friend of the pod, Gab Chabran, was nominated for an episode he did on Conchas on the How to LA podcast. Daniel Hernandez of the LA Times was nominated for a piece we discussed last year on Mexico City. I'm not sure if you recall.
Oh, yeah.
Evan Kleiman of Good Food on KCRW was also nominated, and LA took home 0 awards in the Media Awards. So nice to be the nominee, but no winners. It was very much always the bridesmaid, never the bride thing for Los Angeles this year at the Media Awards. However, in the awards, they did take home one prize. Lord Maynard Llera of Kuya Lord was won Best Chef California. It was the only award that Los Angeles won, but a pretty significant one. Question for you, Father Sal. Did you find time in your schedule to live stream the awards?
I did a little bit. It's kind of a crazy affair. I know it's like the Oscars of food in America. There was just a lot going on. I was like Walter Samuelson's up there doing bits, and it really was a drawn out affair. And I like was watching like someone just talk and talk. No disrespect, I don't know who it was. And then I was like, when's the next award? I got to do other stuff, and eventually looked away. I feel like I could produce a better James Beard Oscars quote unquote night. I have award show ideas, and I feel like if they ever want to pick my brain, I can make a tight, excellent ceremony.
I am 100% sure no one there is going to want to pick your brain, but I would be really interested to hear these ideas. I agree with you. I did some watching of the live stream myself. I know they call it the Oscars of the food world, but it was very much feeling like the corporate, like local / regional award show. To me, like there was something about not knowing the people who were up there in the vast majority of cases, because a lot of these awards are so regional and local, that made it very much seem like being on the outside of an inside joke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that could just be down to us not knowing our homework or being true industry insiders, though we are to an extent, I suppose. That's a bit harsh. What I would say is it's there maybe too many cooks in the kitchen, pun intended, for this award show to really make cohesive sense as a presentation. Now, when it comes to the awards themselves, very exciting.
Yeah. No, the reason I say that is you're right. Maybe we don't have enough knowledge, but we are like pretty specialized on LA. We do talk about things that are outside of Los Angeles as well. A lot of these awards are pretty local and pretty regional. So like
right.
when those chefs go up there, it could be someone from like New Mexico, even when like Gregory Gourdet, right, who won Best Chef Pacific Northwest for Con over in Portland. We obviously know who Gregory Gourdet is, hugely famous in the Top Chef universe. Even when he went up and gave his speech, I was like, this speech feels like for a Portland audience. Like he's very much speaking to the rhythms of Portland. He's speaking to what it means for the city, what the city means for him personally. So, you know, it's just one of those things where you're kind of getting a little bit of a glimpse into the food rhythms of other cities as all the awards happen.
Sounds like a great speech, by the way. I did not see Gregory's speech, but that's a good vibe. I like that. What I think this advice for any award show, just hire John Mulaney to host. Yeah. He can be the MC. He'll do a great job. And then no matter what happens, he'll like contextualize, make jokes, and he'll crush it. Idea number 1 for free. There you go.
Have you seen the Everybody's in Los Angeles, whatever his show's called?
Of course, it made me very nostalgic for our city. Yeah.
What I've heard mixed things. I'm assuming you like it?
I loved it. So it was like very okay. It was a live, essentially late night show that he put on for a week. That was really hyper specific to LA. If you haven't watched it, you have to, my guy. And people are like, "Oh, it's mixed because it's a live show that they put together like on the fly." And so there's awkward moments. Just sit back and enjoy it for what it is. There's nothing on TV like that show, and it's so special. It's so interesting. The mayor, Mayor Karen Bass, called in, and he like hung up on her, like called into the show like it was a radio show, and
Yeah.
he like had an interaction with the mayor, and it was fucking fantastic. Go watch that.
Well, we're just going to have to take your word for it as the LA Food Podcast television correspondent. As I mentioned, LA did win a significant award, and that was Chef Lord Maynard Llera of Kuya Lord over in Melrose Hill, which is quickly becoming the most talked about neighborhood on the LA Food Podcast. He took home Best Chef California, and it's the second year in a row that Los Angeles has won this award, following Anna Jack's Justin Pichitrungzi, who won the award in 2023. Let me start here. Saul, do you have a lot of experience with Filipino food?
I don't. I'm not very good. Like Southeast Asian and Pacific Islander food is probably like my final frontier, really, in terms of food that I need to like get myself familiar with and into. It was always the hardest entree for me. And I've tried Filipino food once at this restaurant in Silver Lake that was hot back in like 2015.
Spoon and pork?
I don't even think it was that. I have to look it up. I don't think it was spoon and pork. And I tried a dish there and it didn't. I probably just ordered wrong. Didn't vibe with me, and I haven't really been adventurous enough to go back. I should.
Filipino food has very much had a moment here in Los Angeles, and I'd say it's past a moment. It's been like extended. It's probably been like going on 10 years now that people are like, the next wave of Filipino food is coming. It's here, and Kuya Lord has very much risen to the top among those restaurants over the last 3-4 years, especially post pandemic. Yeah. I actually went for the noodle countdown because there's a famous noodle dish in Filipino cuisine called pancit, and his version is pancit chami, which is a version that's well known in the part of the Philippines that he's from. And I really like the dish. I think of all of the dishes I've had all year, I just really appreciated it. So Kuya Lord is kind of unique because yes, he's cooking traditional Filipino food, but he's using like a lot of the like modern techniques that he's learned at his various stints in his culinary education. He's worked at places like Bestia and Bavel and whatnot. And he's taken like, for example, Italian pasta cooking techniques to cook this pancit chami. So like what that means is like he's using the starch of the noodle to like thicken the sauce and sort of bring everything together. And it's a really special dish. Not to mention he makes like a Filipino style porchetta as well. So some really cool things happening there. I also think that it's really interesting that for 2 years in a row, restaurants have won that are a little bit more on this not quote unquote fancy side. Like Anna Jack is kind of just like a Thai restaurant. Yes, that Chef Justin has really brought to the next level, but it's not like, fine dining. I wouldn't say it's fine dining. Also, this year, Kuya Lord is very much a fast casual concept. I know that there's certain people in the Los Angeles food scene whose heads are probably exploding over this, but what do you think of this shift?
I mean, I think that's great. I don't even know how much of a quote unquote shift it is for James Beard. Maybe over the last like 10 years, I think they've done a better and better job of identifying those kind of quote unquote hole in the wall, but not really hole in the wall, like just more casual, not white tablecloth, fine dining places. I think it's interesting because one, I mean, I like it a lot because I think it gives you a more sort of on the ground accessible look at great food. Two, I think they're kind of maybe intentionally like filling a gap, so to speak, like Michelin and World's Best, which we're going to talk about in a second. I think really have the corner on this is the best fine dining, even if they tend to leave America out of the equation. I think it's cool that James Beard is increasingly developing this, and I think has developed this reputation as the spot that's not like Vespertine, right? Like $1,000 crazy concept, whatever. And instead, I wonder if Vespertine was ever on the world's 50 best, by the way. Put a pin in that.
Definitely not.
No, you don't think so? All right, never mind.
I'm going to go. No, I know this because I want to say the last restaurant to be on the world's 50 best from Los Angeles was like Spago in 2004 or something like that.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So essentially it's like those awards highlight that kind of fine dining restaurant. And it's cool that James Beard kind of makes the attempt to say, okay, but where's, and I don't know what the clear criteria is, where's like the most interesting maybe and the more accessible food happening. I think it's great. I think that's a good thing generally.
Yeah, no, I think this is very much a shift that has occurred since they went through their like troubled spell around the pandemic and around George Floyd. They had to do like a lot of internal review to like look at their processes because one of the big sort of accusations that was being levied against them at the time was that they were gatekeeping. Like basically like that they held such influence within the food world, yet we're only giving awards to places that were white tablecloth or that were predominantly helmed by white chefs, or that when they were giving them the awards to chefs of color, they were always going to the same chefs of color, and that felt like tokenization to an extent.
Mm.
So I think they've really done a good job at looking at all of their criteria and figuring out, okay, how can we make this so we are naturally going to be more inclusive of all kinds of restaurants?
Right.
Not just for like special awards, because they have like special awards like America's Classics and whatnot that do typically recognize places like, you know, Ben's Chili Bowl in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Or I don't think Pink's Hot Dogs has gotten one, but it's spots like that, right? That hold some historic significance within cities, but that aren't like maybe even like firing on all cylinders anymore, or aren't that like so exciting anymore, but they've done something really cool, basically in the history of like American cooking. So they have changed and it's led to some interesting shifts. So I think this is very intentional on the part of James Beard. But I think it's really cool personally, because I do think like it just kind of opens the doors for anybody to make it. And it's like now any restaurant, whether you're a fast casual concept, whether you're a fine dining concept, you kind of know in the back of your head, hey, we have another reason to be firing on all cylinders here, because we could potentially be included in this. You know, this is for us now. And so like, I think it does create incentives for restaurants that maybe before didn't have those incentives.
Well, it's for basically it's for anyone making great food, not anyone making great food in this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is like the ideal here. I wish I knew more about the criteria for selection though. Like when you get in between the finalists to the or semifinalists to nominees to winners, I read up on the website, right, how they describe how they choose judges and how the panel works and how the recommendations work, but not kind of that like nitty gritty. How did they get from here are the nominees to here is who wins? Of course, it's all subjective, right? But you know, would love to know more.
Well, I know that the very starting point is like a very broad nominating process. So like at the very start of the process, I'm pretty sure anybody can go into like the website and submit nominations. Like basically like for consideration. Let's say you know like a great spot in your neighborhood, or you know a spot in your city that maybe you think, hey, I'm not sure anybody else is going to nominate this place for consideration. You can actually fill out the application for them, and basically submit them for consideration. From there, it goes to the panel of judges, and they do their thing in the dark rooms wherever they're doing their things.
Right.
But like, I think that from the very starting point, like anybody can nominate a restaurant. It's just from there the considerations, like, you know, go on. What I do know is like back in the day, they used to be very focused on like food and like service and kind of the classic things that you would look for in a restaurant review. And now it's a much more comprehensive process. It's like they take into account things like service to the community. They try to figure out like, what is a restaurant doing in the community? Is this chef a good person? Is, you know, does this chef have a good reputation? You know, like, are they respected by their peers? And if so, what does this say about them? And the other piece of it too is they look at things like, where does this restaurant fit in the sort of like broader landscape of cooking in this city and in the broader landscape of cooking in America right now?
Yeah.
Is it just good, or is it actually pushing the envelope in some way? Is it actually doing something exciting? So those are good criteria. Now, the actual like process of how it all happens, you know, can't really speak to that. I suspect with anything like this, there's probably some like room for human subjectivity, shall we say. But I think you can only work with the process that's in front of you.
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, look, I'm increasingly excited by James Beard. We were pretty cynical about them when we first started this podcast. I think we like talked a little bit of shit, but I think increasingly it's like one of the more interesting awards out there.
I think it's kind of like Zach Lasry, you know, trying to do the right thing in like Zach Lasry trying to do the right thing in Melrose Hill, James Beard trying to do the right thing with these awards. It's just like, you know, sometimes practice is harder than theory, and the results are always going to vary. And also you got to kind of see how it goes over time. I'm sure like it'll only continue to get better and better, but I do think restaurants like Anna Jack and Kuya Lord winning, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I had a database, by the way, of just like all the winners listed by year in one place. I've tried to find that. It's kind of hard to track down, but I do want to like, it'd be cool if they just had all the best Chef Californias for the last 20 years or
Yeah.
something listed in one place so you could observe the trend over time.
I wish that existed too, because I was trying to find that myself. Maybe we should create that and brand that as an LA Food Podcast, LA Countdown thing. But what I did see is that over the last 5 years, I want to say, LA restaurants have won the Best Chef California award 3 times, San Francisco restaurants twice, or something like that. And for the last 2 years in a row, LA has won it. The last time a San Francisco restaurant won it was in 2022 when Brandon Jew of Mr. Jews won it. San Francisco and the Bay Area in general have kind of little broed Los Angeles and Southern California for a very long time. Do you think this kind of is an indicator that things are starting to shift?
I think San Francisco has a little broad in the fine dining space, right? Like, I think that's where the Bay seems to have staken a claim around, like Atelier Cren is in the Bay. Is that right? Like,
Yeah.
like in terms of like that highest level of fine dining restaurant, it seems like the Bay kind of has that sort of scene possibly still on lock. Whereas, as we were just discussing, because the James Beard Award kind of looks deeper, I would argue, I mean, I would assume, I should say, I haven't eaten enough in the Bay, that the more interesting cooking is happening in Los Angeles. Maybe not across the board, but I mean, just from a fundamental like economic perspective, the Bay is so expensive, and LA, of course, is expensive too. But you can find areas like Kuya Lord or go to Sherman Oaks, right, and have a restaurant where you can be really exciting and try things and it creates a space for chefs. Whereas it almost feels like to break through in the Bay, you almost have to have like that highest level of fine dining there. So I do think generally since like 2010, LA has become probably the most interesting food destination in the United States consistently. I know other places continue to pop. Portland, particularly interesting, I think personally.
Yeah.
But LA, I think, has the like, here's where chefs want to be a little bit, right? Like chefs move to LA. They don't move to the Bay. And so while the Bay may still have the fine dining sort of zone, from what I can understand, LA, I think, has the more interesting potential food scene happening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, certainly compared to San Francisco, it feels like LA is sort of like the arts district of food right now. Meaning, like, you know how like these districts are created within cities where typically it's going to be lower rent. People might not want to live there, but
I know what an arts district is. Yeah.
you know what an arts district is, but maybe not everybody listening knows what an arts district is. But basically, the concept is it's not shitty, but it's just not where people want to live. And I feel like LA right now, even though when we're always talking about Los Angeles, we're talking about how the conditions for running a restaurant are so difficult, the costs are so high. I do think it's worth remembering, like compared to other places around the country, it's still competitive when it comes to major markets, it feels like. And so when it comes to like actually trying to come up with something new, Los Angeles feels like a much sort of like more fertile ground to do so than the Bay Area. However, okay, one thing I wanted to sort of just put out there is that last year LA won 3 awards, and this year we only won 1. So some are going to look at this as a bit of a down year for Los Angeles in terms of like, I mean, just numerically, right? Like we won 3 last year, we won 1 this year. What do you think of that thinking?
No, I think that's silly. We talked about this a little bit with the nominees, I think, when they came out. I look at the James Beard Award as different from like the NBA championship or the Super Bowl, where it's like a dynasty and like, oh my God, how many years in a row can you win? No, it's just the recognition is going to trend over time differently. Having a single, I think, James Beard recognition is amazing. That's like an incredible like indication of the food scene in your place, even if it's just a regional one. Still, it matters. So no, some years it'll be 3, some years it'll be 0. I don't think it's a big deal.
I agree with you. And actually, 2 years ago, I think LA was shut out completely. And it doesn't mean like eating in LA was shit that year. It's just like that's the way the cookie crumbles,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, because there's only one place in LA that won, there's only a few other places in Seattle that were nominated or won as well. You and I haven't had the chance to go to a lot of these places that are on the list, but I gave us a little bit of a homework assignment. I would love for us each to showcase one winner that caught our eye that we would like to visit in a future trip.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like the best homework assignment ever. To me, what stood out, I actually wonder if we have the same one. The Car Nola was mine, which was the winner for, I think, Best New Restaurant nationally. And it looks amazing. Yes, Best New Restaurant at a national level. It's West African cuisine mixed with like New Orleans like vibe and like sensibility as well. Looks amazing, and hopefully New Orleans becomes a trip we go on one day. but that looked like a particularly stunning option.
Dude, I don't know that we would make it out alive of a trip to New Orleans.
Good way to go out.
Dakar is interesting, actually, because I seem to recall that in one of those lists that we talked about last year, I think it was the Eaters Where to Travel list, Dakar, Senegal was actually listed as one of the cities to go visit, along with like Sacramento and places like that, sort of as like an up-and-coming food destination. So I hadn't pegged it as like a true like capital of gastronomy, but clearly it's got something going on as it's inspired one of the best new restaurants in America.
I do wonder if West African cuisine more broadly will, as you were describing Filipino cuisine as kind of having grown and like hit like a trend where it's really, I think, taking over the West Coast in particular, I'd say. I wonder if West African cuisine will continue to grow. I mean, there are folks like, I believe, Kwame. I don't want to misidentify the geography which he represents, but I think Kwame cooks from a similar idea. And I feel like, I mean, that food is so good. It's kind of close to Indian cuisine because it has South Asian influences, but it has, of course, its own entire, like, whatever culinary language, not to sound too pretentious. Like, I think West African cuisine is one that I would be really excited to see have a moment in the U.S. And maybe the Cardinal is kicking it off.
Well, there's a pretty exciting place in Los Angeles right now in Inglewood, which I just had the opportunity to try at EatsCon this past weekend, and that's Two Homes. And basically they're in Inglewood and they're doing sort of like West African fusion. So taking a lot of techniques and recipes from West Africa and fusing them with a lot of flavors that are endemic to Los Angeles. So they're making like a lamb quesadilla with West African flavors. They're also, yes, they're doing a jollof rice as well with like pork belly, I believe. Then they're doing these like fried chicken bites, which they look like, you know, run-of-the-mill like Nashville hot chicken or something, but they're spiced with like Northern African spices. So I do think there is something happening there. And not to mention the restaurant that you just referred to, Kwame's restaurant, last year on the world's 50 best was named the San Pellegrino one to watch. So I think you're onto something, man. This could be the start of something beautiful.
And number one in New York, I think, rated by the New York Times, Kwame's restaurant.
No way.
If I'm not mistaken.
And I believe our friends at Compliments to the Chef, who I will say have some like pretty like savage opinions on restaurants in a good way. It means they have taste. But they actually really liked Kwame's restaurant from what I recall.
I mean, no surprise.
The restaurant I wanted to highlight is a restaurant in Mystic, Connecticut called The Shipwright's Daughter. Have you heard of this?
I'm not until the James Beard Awards.
It won for Best Chef Northeast. And I gotta say, like, menu looks kind of fine. And I think I'm just interested in it because the menu is like one of those new American restaurants. And it doesn't seem on paper like it's got a whole lot going on. But in that case, it makes me want to go even more because I'm like, okay, what is this chef doing with these ingredients that seemingly sound so simple that has gained such, you know, attention? Like, you know, the large plates on the menu are just like roasted seacoast mushrooms, a pork chop, local bass, a strip loin, you know, and even the descriptions are just like it's served with chicken fat potatoes and asparagus and salsa verde. Great, like super simple, but I'm like, what are we doing here that makes it so exciting? The true reason I want to visit this is because the chef's name is David Standridge. That also happens to be my uncle's name.
Oh, how about that? I guess it's a good enough reason to go.
I think that's kind of crazy, right? I was like, did my uncle like switch careers and all of a sudden is a chef?
I was about to say, guess what? Your uncle's apparently running best restaurant Northeast, you said?
Yeah, best chef Northeast, David Standridge. Shout out David Standridge. Not my uncle, but seemingly a very good chef. Look, we spoke about Kwame, okay? And we talked about World's 50 Best, and that is another round of awards that dropped, but they basically held a ceremony in Las Vegas on June 5th. It was held at the Wynn Las Vegas, which is no longer one of the hottest hotels in town because apparently now everyone's going to the Fontainebleau, which is something for us to keep in mind next time we're going to Las Vegas. The World's 50 Best happened. Disfrutar in Barcelona was named number one. There were only 2 restaurants from the U.S. that made the list this year. New York City's Atomics was named at number 6, and California's Single Thread, and we're talking about Northern California here, like the Bay Area, eked out number 46. It is worth saying that Cato, and I think we've already talked about this on the pod, they were named actually San Pellegrino's one to watch. Worth noting also from an LA Food Pod perspective that you and I have been to, I believe, 4 of these restaurants.
Yeah, I think so.
Maido at number 5 in Peru, Quintanil, Puyol, and Rosetta all in Mexico City. Okay, So, first question for you. What do you think of the, I think, frankly, stunningly low amount of US restaurants on this list? Just for context, real quick, I was doing a quick like control F, right? Of just like cities like Stockholm or like Copenhagen. I want to say like Berlin has like 3 times as many restaurants on the list as the entire United States.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it speaks to what the judging body of the World's 50 looks like. And so the World's 50 Best technically has no criteria. I read up on this as well. They have over 1,000 judges who participate. I think this could be a couple things. One, yeah, maybe there's just a certain kind of white tablecloth restaurant in other areas of the world where America is not quite at the level. I'll also note that Smith in Chicago and Cosme in New York were recognized in the 50 to 100 list. So they're out of the top 100 restaurants in the world, 4 apparently are in the United States somewhere. It's more that I don't know. Maybe the like the highest levels of U.S. fine dining don't reflect the same level as what you find in South America or Europe. Maybe not, or even Asia. I wonder if there could be some political stuff here.
Mm.
I wonder if like people are just not a huge fan of America and don't want to super reward it. It's kind of like the vibe of like international soccer, where it's like those fucking Americans like trying to get in on our thing. I feel like there could be a little bit of that sentiment going on, but also it's just cool to see. I don't mind there not being a lot of American restaurants. I want to see what people judge to be the best in other places that we can go then explore.
I only mind insofar as the accuracy of the list. I know that you can kind of like go into these lists assuming they are never going to be accurate because there's humans involved. Food is subjective, especially when you get so many people involved. It's gonna come up with some pretty weird results, and we've seen that reflected in most elections throughout history. But still, I just have a hard time believing that empirically speaking, only 4 restaurants in the United States are in the top 100 in the world. I think I would feel better about that if the list was in and of itself more diverse. But when you've got like 6 or 7 restaurants from Berlin alone, I start questioning things basically.
Well, I wonder how many restaurants in the U.S. actually strive for this kind of cuisine at this level. I feel like, I'm sure there are plenty of fine dining and excellent chefs here that are 4-star, and maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate. But to our very conversation earlier, I feel like high level cuisine in the United States has levels, right? And there's almost like a hotness or like a desire for your bestias, right? Which are not quite like, World's 50 Best, but are very, very good, right? And there's like maybe a zone there. And then there are, I wonder, by the way, like I bet there, first of all, like I said, I do think this is a political award. There are probably only a select few restaurants that go for it. Alinea, right? Which I'm sure has been on the list before. I wonder, I'd not been to Huso, Budalo's restaurant, but I'm guessing he would aim for something like this. But how many people are aiming for World's 50 Best? I don't know.
Okay, let's take a restaurant that we've both been to as an example, right? Rosetta, number 33. It's Elena Regatas restaurant in Mexico City. Now, to paint the picture for you, dear listener, the restaurant is in a beautiful building. It's like got really high vaulted ceilings. Feels almost like you're walking into a church. I wouldn't say this is the fanciest restaurant I've ever been to. Like you sit down, it's got like mismatched cutesy plates and cutlery and whatnot. The dishes are, yes, I'd say pretty fairly priced, like definitely like on par with what you'd find at a Bavel or a Safi's around town, maybe even less. They're doing pastas. Yes, there's a strong like sense of place with like, indigenous ingredients and Mexican ingredients used, but it is not like, I wouldn't even classify it as white tablecloth dining.
Yeah, I think it technically is, if I remember correctly.
Technically, but like it's not like it there's nothing like, I would say Providence in Los Angeles is more white tablecloth than that.
Right. And I think Providence would be like maybe the LA representative here. And actually, you called out the one restaurant that when I saw Rosetta, when I saw where it was ranked, that was the one restaurant where I was like, I could maybe think of some restaurants in the US that are better than that. Right, like Rosetta. I mean, the thing that stood out to me most about Rosetta that stuck with me was the architecture of the restaurant. Right,
Yeah.
more so than necessarily any of the food experience, which was again, it was elevated beyond like a bestia. Right, it was still more than that. But you're right that was the one where I was like, interesting that ends up there. And Who's again, politics.
Well, speaking of politics, one of my favorite things that came out of this entire like shebang was the fact that Eater Las Vegas published a list of overheard at the world's 50 best. And I thought there were some really juicy nuggets in here. Did you have a chance to read it?
I did. This was a great time.
Dear listener, if you've seen like Overheard LA or any of these accounts, you know, it's basically just anonymous quotes. And Eater Las Vegas did the exact same thing, like a list of anonymous quotes about the things that they overheard at the world's 50 best awards. I want to go through them really quickly. So the first one actually is in relation to the James Beard Awards. And what they overheard is it's a very different ranking from James Beard. I think in the US, we put more emphasis on Beard, and 50 best is judged by people wealthy enough to go on to go to all these fine dining restaurants internationally. Yep. It's hard for others to get honors or recognition. Okay, let's break that down for a moment. If you were a chef, Sal, which award would you most want to win? James Beard or World's 50 Best?
Well, if we're really projecting this out, if I were a chef, I think my restaurant would look much more like a James Beard restaurant than a World's 50 Best restaurant, right? I don't.
You're selling yourself short, buddy.
I don't quite see myself on the level of like seeking to serve that audience, right? That like fine dining audience. And so, yeah, I think it would be James Beard as the one I feel most excited about. But I think because of the scarcity of American recognition, if you're able to get on the World's 50 Best as an American restaurant, I think it's really special. I think it must mean a lot.
I agree. For that reason, I think I would rather be on World's 50 Best. I mean, it's just like literally because of scarcity, it feels like a more prestigious thing. I'm not 100% sure it is. And honestly, judged by the other part of this overheard at the World's 50 Best sentence, it kind of makes you think it may not even hold as much water in terms of judging body. Like what this person is intimating is basically the criteria in order to be a judge at the World's 50 Best is just being rich enough to travel to these restaurants, which seems like a pretty shitty criteria.
It explains, I mean, again, given that they claim that there is no criteria, quote unquote, for how restaurants are chosen for the World's 50 Best, I think it does kind of, it's a good observation. It probably just leans to who can pay the most. Like if you can pay the highest dollar, where do you end up eating? Which is an interesting list. That's still like an interesting question to answer. But to your point, does it mean it's the most like representative, so to speak? Like what we should do, or what they should do as the awards, is being like, what we're actually recognizing is this. Let's be honest, right? Mm-hmm. Like don't be like, we have no criteria, this is really like as broad and expansive of you. They could just say, we're looking for the most innovative, like highest like luxury restaurant. That's what you find when you come to our list. James Beard could be, we're looking for the restaurants, we recognize the restaurants that are pushing American cuisine into the future, right? Who are on the cutting edge and represent where we are at as a country in the moment, right? Like, I feel like we can start being more honest and direct about what we are ultimately trying to award with each of these things.
Yeah, so World's 50 Best is basically just where the rich people want to eat.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to do a list of like that type of list, but like Los Angeles specific. Like where are the rich people eating in Los Angeles?
West Side. I'm going to go ahead and guess, right? Beverly Hills.
I'm assuming like, yeah, exactly. Like Spago would probably still be on that list. Like, you know, maybe like definitely like West Side, Evan Funky restaurants would be very high on that list too, I'm guessing.
What's the sushi restaurant? The Robert De Niro sushi restaurant?
Oh, Nobu. Nobu would be number one. Yeah. Nobu would be number. Oh, there'd probably be some Giorgio Baldi making an appearance every once in a while. Yeah, I guess it's like supposed to be rich people with taste, but if you've ever watched The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, you see that the richer you get, sometimes the worse your taste is.
Good insight. Thank you. Thank you for your field research on that account.
You're very welcome. I only watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for field research for this podcast, and don't get it twisted. Okay, look, next overheard. I know it takes more than just being a great restaurant to be number one, but I talked to someone who had an 8.5-hour dinner at Dix Frutar. She said it was cool, but like 8 hours for food? I don't know, man.
Is that the fault of the restaurant or of the diner? I guess would be my one question, right? Like that's too long. Well, actually, I don't know. That sounds like that could be like the most amazing night. If you get to dinner at like
12,
12 and leave at 8. No, like get dinner at 6 or something, leave at 2 a.m. That's an amazing sounding night. It's too long.
It almost makes you feel like Disfrutar just like wore the voters down by attrition, you know? Just like by the time they were done, they were just so fucked up and like so regretful that the next morning they were like, the only way to justify this is by saying this is the best meal I've ever had. What's the longest meal you've ever had?
Oh, I don't even know the answer to that. I'm sure it's something like it's got to be some like long tasting menu, right? Like Puyol probably took a little while we were there.
Couple hours, maybe?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever gone more than like 3.5 to 4. That even 4 seems like a long time.
4 seems like a lot,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the ceiling for me would be I'd tap out around 4. Like if you're talking like you get there at 8, you would need to really like bring out all the stops to keep me entertained till midnight. Like
Yeah.
multiple courses, dessert, like after dinner drinks, like and great conversation, of course.
Yeah. Essentially, what would the way this would happen is you finish your meal and you're just like hanging out drinking for like hours or whatever
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, you move to a different part of the restaurant. Maybe there's a bar, you know. But yeah, 8 hours. You better like have a bed for a nap in the middle of that. Okay, next one. Are these awards for the best restaurants or the best PR firms?
It's a good question. Speaking of political,
I know when you said political, at first I was like, I kind of thought of it as geopolitics, like basically like the rest of the world just being like, we don't want to vote for America, which that happens.
that's what I meant for the record. Yeah.
Dude, that happens. As you know, I worked in the Olympics, and that was always like one of our major concerns trying to get to the games for Los Angeles is like, are people just not going to vote for Los Angeles because they hate America? And that has happened in the past. Like Chicago bidding for the 2016 or the 2012 games, I want to say. Obama was present at that vote. And literally because he showed up, there was more traffic for the voters in the morning. And they were like, fuck you, America. Fuck you for bringing more traffic. We're giving the games to London. Real story, true story. But the other part of this with politics that now comes to mind is this a bit like an Oscar campaign? You know, where like maybe these restaurants kind of know who the voters are, and maybe the PR firms sell them on knowing who the voters are, and really all you got to do is get the best PR firm to run the best FYC campaign.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, again, I don't know how it all goes down. I would not like that. I think is endemic to any award show. Like the Oscars are political, right? People campaign literally, like campaign openly for Oscars, right? Like you have to glad hand and do all that. Now, I think they try a little bit harder, maybe in the restaurant world, to not be that openly corrupt. Let's say, but I'm sure there are people who have this down to a science who like kind of know who needs to know about you and think you're great. They're probably like specific individuals, tastemakers within the judging body who like the smartest comms firms know that they need to like get on your side.
Dude, this could be our end game, man. Like we could be that firm, you know? Like if we just figure this out, like who the voters are and stuff, I'm pretty sure we could have the best goddamn PR, like political consulting and restaurant world shop in town.
I'm pretty sure they would just see two dumb Americans PR firm trying to reach like European millionaires and then they'd just be like, fuck off, man.
Next one. I really want to make a push on the list. I'm glad LA is being recognized because I think a rising tide raises all ships. Now, this is presumably from an LA person.
Mm-hmm. I would guess so.
So an LA person is saying they want to make a push to be on this list.
Yeah, which I think speaks to, I mean, look, they could be talking about, of course, just the pure execution of the, food and service at their restaurant when they say, I want to make a push. But it sure sounds like I want to make a push means they want to intentionally reach the people they know will be judging in this particular awards body.
Do we think this is Cato or somebody else?
I was wondering, like, I mean, assume it's Cato just based on the context, but who knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting, too, the way that they framed it. Like, I think a rising tide raises all ships. Do they mean, like, if LA is recognized on this list, sort of like the broader dining scene in LA gets more shine on a global level?
Yeah, I would assume so, right? I mean, this is dictated even places where, I don't know, we traveled to Lima and ate at Mido, right? I'm not sure how much the existence of Mido, and there was another restaurant too that was on the top 50 back then. It might have
Romeo and Julieta?
no. There was. I think it might have gotten number one year. I'm sorry.
Central.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That I think part of our calculus for going to Lima was not only just like the amazing, natural landscapes and cool cities, but the fact that we could go eat amazing food there, right?
Oh yeah,
and we went and
100%.
did it, right? So having and sure people know about, I think, San Francisco and Chicago and New York. I think if LA were to get on the list and be recognized, I'm sure it would have it would raise the profile of the city in terms of a culinary destination.
Yeah, hilariously, we didn't even go to Central.
Yeah, I know. Well, we tried, right? It was tough to get
Yeah.
in, but Mido was sick.
Although, I've heard from people who did go that like Central is one of those like you've really got to want it. It's a challenging meal, and that's not really how I like to describe the meals that I pay a lot of money for.
I'm pretty sure we're about to do that at Vespertine, though.
No, it's going to be challenging for you, my friend. For me, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Although, actually, we're going to get to this in a moment. But I've recently heard from another perspective that it's actually a great meal. So
Cool.
I'll bring that to the table in just a moment. Okay, next one. I think this is the juiciest nugget from this entire overheard piece, and that is this. There's rumors that they're going to introduce a North America's 50 best next year. So right now, there are 50 bests for other regions. I want to say there's Europe. I want to say there's South America too, but there's not North America. And there's rumors that they're going to introduce this. Exciting?
Yeah, makes sense, right? They absolutely should. But it feels weird they didn't do it the first time America hosted the awards at Vegas. Feels like they could have prepped ahead of time to announce a North American top 50. As we can see from the overall list, it seems like Mexico would dominate, right? Like that particular thing. The greatest troll job would be if they gave like McDonald's number one in North America. They just like you totally like shit on America in that way. But no, I'm really excited about. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what comes out of a more specified regional thing.
That would be presumably the United States and Canada, right?
And Mexico. Yeah.
No, what is it? I think Mexico may already be included in the South American one.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's a little strange because I'm not crazy, right? Mexico is North America.
Well, it's Central America, technically.
Right.
In soccer, it gets included in North America, and like it's in CONCACAF. Yeah.
Right. That's how I understand geography purely is via soccer borders.
We have soccer on the brain because the Euros are starting this week, and Saul derangedly wants to make a bet on it. As you know, it's not been very good for him this year.
Year of losing's coming to an end. Let's do this.
Keep telling yourself that, buddy. Okay, last one from the overheard article. I think you put this in there.
I did.
Vegas is an assault on the senses in every way.
Relatable to whoever said that. I saw that and I was like, word. Vegas is an absolute assault. And I don't think they mean it in a good way. I don't mean it in a good way.
No, I don't. I never think of assault as good. But maybe that's just me. Look, I love Vegas. Contrary to you, we go to Vegas. We've been to Vegas twice now together. I want to say to this day, some of the best trips. Like one of my favorite memories is going to that Killers show at the T-Mobile Arena, whatever, right across from the Park MGM, and then staying up all night talking and gambling and playing roulette and stuff. Like, I love that. It's like you can't do it all the time. You gotta have it in like concentrated amounts, like 48 to 72 hours being ideal. But I don't know. My senses appreciate that kind of stimulation.
Just to be clear for Emily, who's probably listening to this, we were in bed by 11:30. I don't think we've ever done Vegas, like real Vegas. We did like a couple roulette wheels. We talked a little bit. The concert was exhausting because I realized I only know 2 Killer songs and I was there for so long. For me, the John Mulaney show we saw, the first trip with Isa and your wife, that was my personal Vegas highlight.
There was definitely one night, nothing nefarious happened to Emily, I promise, but there was definitely one night where we like stayed up till 4 a.m. just talking outside of the hotel. I think it may have been the John Mulaney trip. Do you remember this?
Oh, it might have been the John Mulaney trip. I can't remember this very well, ironically.
Which means Vegas worked. I don't like you like making us sound like squares to everybody in the audience, okay?
We got to be honest, man. To me, the coolest thing we did was wake up at like 7 a.m. and go watch a soccer game and play darts. And I hit a bullseye for the first time. That was a blast.
That was actually one of my favorite things. Also crazy. I think it was the morning after the Killers, maybe, and we
it was
woke up at 7 a.m. to go watch the Premier League at some random pub in Las Vegas. And the reason it was so enjoyable is because we also had money on the games.
Yeah, that's right. Of course.
Yeah. Oh, man, gambling. It's the best. Okay, look, like we did for the James Beard Awards, I'd like for us each to showcase a winner on the world's 50 best that caught our eye and that we would want to visit in a future trip.
To me, it's Guggen. I mean, it's been there. It's been on the list, like around the top 10, hovering there forever. I've been a huge fan of Guggen since I saw his like Chef's Table, and then we got to know him even more on Top Chef last year. Big fan. He seems dope, and I would love to eat his food. It's so far away. Bangkok is so far away, but I would that would be a really cool experience.
Damn, I thought he was in London just because he was on the London season of Top Chef.
No, he flew all the way out from Thailand to go like visit Top Chef. It was like a really, that's why it was such a significant thing that he joined.
Bangkok would be cool though.
Yeah, yeah, so far away.
Yeah, but there's nobody I'd rather brave that flight with than you, my friend. Okay, for my one, it's a little closer to home, not much, but a little. We're going to London to a restaurant called Kol, Kol. And I believe they were
Mhm.
number 17 this year after being number 23 last year. It's brought to us by Chef Santiago Lastra. He is an incredible chef known as the quote unquote nomadic chef because, yes, he's Mexican, but he's really honed his craft in Copenhagen and Spain and other places. And what he learned to do over the course of his career, because he refused to cook Mexican food for a long time in Europe because he's like, I don't have
Mhm.
the ingredients here to do it. So what he started doing is he basically started just making Mexican food, but only showcasing super local ingredients. So he's using like local berries and whatnot to approximate the flavor of like lime in guacamole and stuff, like doing really, really unique things. And he's cooking in London right now. The restaurant is called Call. He's also got a Michelin star, and he's going to be on the LA Food Podcast in the next few weeks. So that's another reason we should go.
That's so great. I did not realize that this is this guy.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts, man. I was gonna make a joke because I knew you spoke to him. I was gonna make a joke like, seems like the kind of guy I'd want to hear on a podcast one day. But of course, he's giving you spill the beans. Yeah, holy shit, man, this sounds dope.
Yeah, no, honestly, like we recorded it last week at Holbox. Shout out Chef Gilberto Cetina for hosting us. It's an episode I can't wait to publish. But dude, honestly, hearing him talk about food, it's one of those things like, let's book the trip to London tomorrow. I also think it's interesting because you famously have been to London and have completely shat on the food scene.
Okay, well, I shot on the English food. To be very clear, the Pakistani food in London is amazing. I'm sure, to me, my take is that every other cuisine except for English cuisine is good. That's my bit, I suppose. And so, yeah, this is gonna fucking crush. We should go here. Let's find an excuse.
We have to go here. It would be the most epic trip ever. Okay, any potential sponsors out there who want to sponsor a London trip for the LA Food Podcast, we're open. We're open to it. Okay.
DraftKings, maybe, given how much we talk about betting.
DraftKings are like, Gamblers Anonymous. Is that a thing? Do they sponsor things? All right, look, enough awards chat, but I think a pretty rich awards season, honestly. A lot to discuss there.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is the moment, right? And then we're gonna have Top Chef wrapping up soon. That's not the same thing, but just like early mid June is the food news moment. The Bears coming through, like this is food season.
Food season, SZN. Couple last things I want to draw our listeners' attention to before we sign off for the day. We're doing a little bit of a shorter podcast today, meaning we're just not going to hit the 2-hour mark, which we've been doing recently.
That's too long, man.
Dude, it's too long, but you know what? Our numbers support it. Like people like the long podcast, but you know what? Just because I don't like editing the long podcast, we're keeping it closer to an hour today, okay? I wanted to point people's attention in the direction of a great article from friend of the pod, Karen Palmer at SF Gate. She was basically writing a story off of the fact that Little Tokyo was recently named one of the most endangered historic places in the country. And this is from Karen's article, but she wrote, decades of development, displacement, and gentrification, along with deep-rooted historical challenges, have turned what was once a thriving community into a small but mighty concentration of businesses and restaurants. As you and I have spoken about in the past, we've spoken about some of the sort of like landlord challenges happening in Little Tokyo, like Suahiro Cafe having to move out. There's a lot of change happening in Little Tokyo, and a lot of businesses that have been thriving for a long time are now really struggling. It's a really interesting piece, I thought, that points to sort of like the waves of struggle that have happened over the decades, I'll say, in Little Tokyo. Highly recommend it. What do you think of the piece?
It was a great piece, and I particularly appreciated the historical context, right? Because I do think we make the mistake, even when we're talking about gentrification in Melrose Hill or whatever, of not knowing our full history and the ebbs and flows of disruptions that happen, which obviously is not great when necessarily when a historic neighborhood and population is being displaced or is struggling and getting outpriced. However, it made me feel optimistic that hearing about how Little Tokyo has persevered, right? And that it makes me feel like there's like a true core there that may struggle at times, but will hopefully endure, and we'll see how things progress, I suppose.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like a very hopeful piece. I think it was like one of those things where a lot of these stories are very doom and gloom a lot of the time. And I think it is because we're operating with such a sense of recency bias that we kind of miss the bigger picture. Of course, for business owners, a lot of time they don't have the luxury of history, right? It's kind of like the conditions right now are what matters,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and the conditions right now are tough. But from a broader like macroeconomic, socioeconomic perspective, like, yeah, it helps to remind yourself like LA has been changing for as long as it's been a city, and it's going to continue to change. It's really what do we do to kind of inform that change and sort of like name it as it's happening. So we're doing a service here, Saul.
If you say so. That was a nice little sentiment from you. That was well articulated, though.
Thanks, man. Whoa, you're gonna make me blush, maybe cry. Okay. Hey, Saul, any positive memories of Little Tokyo in your day?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember having a great dinner and drinks with friends at Far Bar,
Hmm.
which I think is still around down there. And then there was a place that, unfortunately, as this article points out, has I think closed since I went, but it was Just Cafe,
Hmm.
and it was recommended by my friend Jace, and just like they had like the thick, crazy. It was like a brunch spot, thick, fluffy pancakes, like insane pancakes, like you wouldn't believe. They'd be like Instagram, like super Instagrammable pancakes today. I mean, they probably were then too, but
Hmm.
just the really a place I would never have noticed, just like off of Main Street in downtown, and looking like there would be nothing of interest there, but like so many places in LA, there's the most amazing food and service happening in the spot. Just Cafe was a special memory, and I'm sad it's gone.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that place. I never made it, and I think it's also because my wife favors very thin pancakes. She likes
Mm.
her pancakes thin. In fact, her favorite pancakes in the entire city are the griddled oat cakes over at Salt's Cure in like Melrose area.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Those are fucking good.
they are
But
very
look, I can get down with a pancake of any thickness. I do not discriminate. My favorite memory from Little Tokyo, and I've had a lot over the years, but there used to be this restaurant called the Spice Table by Chef Brining, who it was basically like a Singaporean influenced restaurant, like deeply like Southeast Asian. And it was like one of those restaurants that I remember reading the Jonathan Gold review of while I was in college and thinking I was like the shit because I had this in my bag whenever I wanted to like bring friends somewhere, you know?
good.
Like I celebrated my birthday there and it was a super cool spot. And I just felt like, I knew something special by going to this restaurant. This restaurant did end up closing because they ended up building the Gold Line
Oh
there where
man.
the restaurant used to be. But the chef has since relocated to Casilla over in Santa Monica and has been cooking there for the last several years.
Mm.
So if you still want Chef Brian's food, that's the place to get it. But yeah, Little Tokyo, special place. May it long endure. The last piece of news I want to talk to you about today. It's something very important. It really shook the core of the food world in a big, dramatic, perhaps irreversible way. Do you know the name Joey Chestnut?
I do not by choice, but I do.
So, dear listener, in case you've been living under a rock for the last, I don't know, what, 2 decades now, Joey Chestnut is like the undisputed king of competition eating. You may know him because every 4th of July, he's there at the Nathan's hot dog competition in Coney Island, shoving hot dogs down his face, moistening them up with water before just like guzzling them down like by the dozens. It's a beautiful thing to watch. He is no longer going to be competing. He's banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating competition because he's taken up a partnership with Impossible Meat or something like that.
Hmm.
So, are you okay?
I'm doing just fine. Cool of him to like go with a vegan meat sponsor. I also do think, I don't know if you saw this news, I do think this was orchestrated to an extent because today uh, it was announced that Netflix will be hosting a one-on-one Joey Chestnut versus Takeru Kobayashi,
No
wow, I did not know who this was.
way.
Yeah, apparently the champion for 6 years before Joey Chestnut came through. They're like the ultimate one on one. And Netflix, just a few days after Joey Chestnut was kicked out of the Nathan's hot dog eating event, will be hosting on September 2nd. I don't know why I'm like fucking doing ads for Netflix right now.
Because you're the television correspondent.
I am, and I do find this interesting. It's because like, in live events on streaming is an interesting kind of development, and they're doing a one-on-one hot dog rivals face-off with two folks who are now kicked out. of the Nathan's hot dog event. I mean, this is crazy, man. It's like if the NBA kicked out LeBron and Kobe
Yeah.
in like 2009.
I think Kobayashi retired. Okay. Fun fact about me. I didn't grow up in the United States, right? So every time I came to the United States, I was just looking for the most like unadulterated America shit ever, right? Just to feel something. And I remember being here over the summer as a kid, and I would be on like, the treadmill at the Holiday Inn Express or whatever in like Florida. And I would have the TV on 4th of July on the treadmill, and I would see this hot dog eating competition, and every year, no matter what I was doing, I would just like stop time and watch this thing. I could have been on the treadmill. We could have been out with my family, and I'd be like, we have to find a TGI Fridays and I have to watch this competition. I loved it so much. It was just something so foreign and exotic to me that I was like, I need to watch this competition. So I know quite a bit about it. Kobayashi, I want to say, I think Chestnut was already in the picture, and he was already like one of the heavyweight eaters. But Kobayashi, this like really thin, fit guy from Japan, comes in and kind of eats his cake for a few years. Literally just like takes down the champ, takes down the Chestnut. And for a few years, they had this like Nadal Federer thing going on between them, like who's going to win this year? 1 year is Kobayashi, 1 year is Chestnut. Kobayashi, though, I want to say like retired for good. Like he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And he did a bunch of interviews about like the physical and like psychological toll that shoving infinite amounts of hot dogs down your throat takes on you. And I believe it, honestly. And so for him to be coming back for this Netflix special, it's really like MJ wearing the 4-5.
I'm happy you're excited. You know what's crazy is that I've never watched this event, and I think I might, dude. I'm like kind of I get the narrative, I see the appeal, and it was just gonna be on Netflix on September 2nd. Might as well tune in.
I will warn you that if you have never seen something like this before, it is one of the most disgusting things you'll ever see.
I mean, I've seen highlights on ESPN because these guys are true athletes. And in a way, I'm like kind of joking, but kind of not joking. I've like seen them eat it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Fun fact: we were at this food festival recently called Masters of Taste. Actually, shout out Masters of Taste for hosting an incredible event that I want to say benefits like the homeless in Los Angeles. So like really cool event with like a great purpose as well. But they had a taco eating competition there. And I was so excited for this. And I like went first row. First of all, I like begged them to include me, and they wouldn't because like they had already pre-selected all the like actual contestants. And I was at the front row watching this thing, and they were just being brought out these tacos, right? And I gotta say, it was fucking amateur hour, bro. Like if you've seen these competitions, you know what you've got to do. It's all about moistening the food in question. Yeah. You have to dip it in the water and get it to be basically like mush consistency so that you can down as many. Dude, these people were just eating like raw dog in these tacos. Some of them were adding salsa to moisten. You don't want to be adding more. They're absolutely deranged rookie moves. I hope Masters of Taste, if you're listening, please, for the love of God, let your boy compete. Let your boy compete. I can do it.
Let's start the campaign, buddy.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say on this. Sorry, I got way too excited about food competitions. You know that I've actually won a food competition before, right?
I do know this, but what did you win?
I didn't win anything, to be clear. But it was the year was 2009 or 2010. I was a young Luca living in his first year in Los Angeles, and I watched Man vs. Food. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh, I did. Yeah, throwback.
Adam Richman, absolute legend. Just met him actually at the LA Wine and Food Festival. Super nice guy. Huge Tottenham Hotspur fan actually. And he was doing this thing, right? Goes all across the country, does these food challenges. Some of them are quantity based and some of them are spice based.
Right.
And in Los Angeles, he did a spicy ramen challenge at Orichan Ramen, which I still believe is, to bring this full circle, in Little Tokyo. And so I saw this and I was like, yo, I'm alone here. I'm lonely as fuck. I'm going there. I'm doing this challenge. I took the bus to Little Tokyo from West LA, and I sat down and I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the spicy ramen challenge. Dude, I'm not kidding when I said it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Massive bowl of ramen, spiced beyond belief to the point where like your entire body starts tingling. Like literally it starts with tingling mouth. It spreads to the rest of your face. It goes down your arms. It goes down your legs. And then it's like taking your guts over, you know? I get to like almost the entire bowl. I have like maybe just like a tiny bit of broth and a tiny bit of noodles left. And I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. And it's a 30-minute challenge. I'm like, I cannot take another single bite. And there's maybe like 5 minutes left on the clock. 4 minutes and 30 seconds pass. The waiter comes through and is like, yo, there's still time. You can do this. Dude, when he said that, like the fucking like, Kobe in the fourth quarter, like just awakened in me, and I just went in on it and I took it down, man. It was the most painful thing I've ever done. I was up all night throwing up and feeling sick at home, and I even called my mom in the middle of the night, who was living in Switzerland at the time, woke her up in the middle of the night and told her like, I love you, but I'm a goner. I was like, thank you for everything you've done. This is the last time you'll hear from me. I'm out. But I did it, man. My picture was on the wall right next to Adam Richman's. I'll actually post it in the show notes.
Whoa.
Yeah, maybe I'll make it the cover of this episode.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Post it on Instagram. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I feel like there's like a men will literally eat a bowl of spicy ramen instead of going to therapy joke here. You're just like alone as a 19-year-old in the US, no friends, completely lost, and the only solution you have is to self-harm via ramen.
That was definitely a Kyle turn the camera on moment, man. All right, I would ask you, do you have a shitty Yelp review of the week to bring us home?
Not even. I don't think I do. We got to spread those out a bit more. We should do them like every other episode so I can really build up something special.
Yeah, have a build up. I don't actually have any either. I've been a very, very good supportive partner over the last week or so since we last did this. Then the last thing I'll ask you, Saul, is any TV recommendations for our listeners?
Oh my God, I definitely do. How come you didn't prep me for this?
Because I like to keep you on your toes.
Watch Everybody's in LA. Let's keep it local. Keep it here. Everyone go watch it. It's so weird. And it's gonna be awkward at times. There's nothing like it. It's a blast.
I'll watch it. I'll actually watch it. I have lots of time after my wife falls asleep. I've started watching a show because I got suckered into a Hulu ad. It's called Food Stars. It's on Fox. It's with Gordon Ramsay and Lisa Vanderpump.
Ugh.
It's basically like The Voice, but instead of picking like singers, they're picking like food products, like, the hot sauce, fucking like mushroom jelly and shit. It's kind of interesting because they're looking at it from a CPG angle.
Yeah.
Not from like just who's the best chef angle. And, I am a sucker for Gordon Ramsay at the end of the day. And I do think most of his shows are so cheesy that I'm looking for any opportunity where the show is at least watchable to get a little dose of Gordon,
That's actually, if it wasn't, I mean, I have nothing wrong with Gordon Ramsay, I guess, specifically like when he's on TV. The concept's actually interesting, and I wish better people had done it, because it's almost like a Shark Tank plus The Voice. It sounds like, right?
Yeah.
I always love blind taste testing, taste testing products. Like if it was a food competition show where, imagine this, like different chefs contestants have to make a dish, serve it blindly, and then just like in The Voice, if I remember correctly, like the particular judges, Ramsay or whoever else you got, select people they want on their team based on how good the dish is or how much they like it. Come on, man.
Bro, what you're describing is literally a show called The Taste that existed for 3 years.
Oh.
And the judges were Anthony Bourdain, Marcus Samuelsson, Nigella Lawson, and our guest last week, Gabe Kennedy, was a contestant on that show and told us what it was like to be on it.
Wait, I gotta go. I've seen this show. I think I watched the first season of the show, and it was awesome. There was like Bourdain found like a chef that he was like mentoring and got close. It was so sick. Wait, The Taste, man. Let's go check it out.
It's $14.99 each season on Amazon, but it's long as fuck. Each episode is an hour and a half, so it's a big commitment, but it's kind of worth it. You get into it.
Oh, hell yeah. No, I'll shell out for that. That sounds great.
Okay. You're welcome, people at The Taste, getting your residuals off of the LA Food Podcast. So you've been an absolute delight today. You really brought it.
Hey, awards. It's our favorite topic, man.
Awards. One of our favorite topics. Well, hey, please do some bad things to your partner this. Let me rephrase that.
Keep this in.
What I meant to say is please just be a bad partner in some way, shape, or form that isn't like make or break bad, but just like funny enough to tell on the podcast next week.
Yeah. I need a Yelp review. I'm sure it'll, like, again, give me 2 weeks. It'll happen organically. It'll be fine.
Fair enough. Good job by you.
Good job by you, buddy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the LA Food Podcast. Thanks as always to Father Sal for making time in his busy schedule for us. If you like what you heard today, dear listener, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts, leave us a rating, a review, subscribe. As I say every week, that stuff really helps us make our way up the charts and get our podcast to more listeners, so I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another epic episode, but if you're looking for me in the meantime, you can find me on Instagram, Threads, YouTube, maybe even TikTok at the LA Countdown. That's TheLaCountdown. You can also find me on Instagram at LA Food Pod. That's LAFOODPOD.